This is Beto Paredes again here in our media center for Marketplace Master. I'm very excited about everything I've been discovering about this company that I feel is probably one of the best investments you can make as a buy here, pay here dealer. I've been reviewing their information, talking with the founder, which we're going to talk to here today. He's actually here with me. And AutoZoom is the company, and the founder is Scott Carlson, who is also the author of Stalwart Lot Rat, Used Car Finance Mastery. Scott, how are you today?
I'm excellent, and how are you today?
I'm doing really well, really well. I've been excited about getting some time with you here. I've been speaking with you a little bit, and we actually got to talk today before we started here on our interview. I'm excited. I want to know a little bit more about what it is that you've been doing, Scott, and a little bit about the company that you have. And why the passion? Why are you in the automotive industry? Tell me about what drew you to it.
Well, I actually was not drawn into the used car business by passion. I was dragged into it by my father. I actually wanted to be a doctor and was training to be a doctor through all my schooling, but since we were in poverty, we were not able to determine how to raise the money to get me into college, and it was a natural step to be in a business that he had started in 1969 with $500 borrowed money, and he created his first buy here pay here lot to feed the family of 7 living in a 1,000 square foot frame house, and it just took a natural course working after school and working during the summers, and I did that for 3 years as a teenager. And then once I graduated, came on board full time, kicking and screaming. I never did like cars. I didn't like working out in the heat and cleaning cars as a lot rat. And but anyway, long story short, ended up embracing it and stayed with the company for 20 years, 10 years into the business. I became the chief operations officer, and by the time I left, we had financed 35,000 cars.
Okay, wow, what a backstory. My father had a business that I worked at my entire life too, so I know a little bit about what that feels like. That's great. That's just an amazing story, really. Obviously, at this point, you certainly knew exactly what it was that you guys wanted to do. Having that back-end experience like you did, I'm sure helped a ton. Can I ask you, what is the genius behind AutoZoom, behind the services that you guys have for Buy Here, Pay Here?
What we do is we provide a web-written, web-delivered technology, build custom-fit scoring models for the used car financing industry. So each individual financing dealership, we build a custom-fit model utilizing numeric values associated with not only the customer, but the deal structure and then total score, so 3 different values. And the overall goal of that technology is to help the dealer do what they already do daily, and that is to match the right creditworthiness or unworthiness with the right deal structure. But in this case, because numerics are involved, not only can they be more consistent in that effort, but they can be more accurate with that.
Scott, I can tell you there's definitely a very big need for that. I know you've got quite a few customers currently working with AutoZoom, and I wanted to know, how long has AutoZoom been in business, and what has AutoZoom actually completely accomplished since that time, since its inception?
To date, we've put over 700 clients on the service. They range in size from startups to our largest client has over a dozen locations. They, to date, have jointly scored over 2 million customers through the system. They've contracted over 1 million, which represents about $14 billion worth of loans in the buy here pay here space that have been originated using AutoZoom. Not only that, through our technology, there's a way for them to put in the economics of their repossessions associated with those deals. And as AutoZoom, we can aggregate that data and slice it and dice it in many numbers of ways, and we become better and more effective at building these individual scoring models for dealers each day.
That's awesome. Since 2002, you've been working with this business, and a lot of it came from what I understand, your opportunity to get out there and spend some time with dealers and to really figure out that there was a need. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I would go out into my Metroplex area in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and sit and meet with dealers and just have chats with them and to determine if there was any consulting benefit they could have from me. And ultimately, it always led to the biggest challenge they had was, how do I standardize my underwriting? How do I remove myself from the day-to-day every decision and have a team that can do it? Because it became painful for them to grow their business. The larger the business grew, the more demand on them to make every credit decision. It just was not a good thing. thing, and so it kind of limited them in size. But when you bring scoring to the table and you can delegate to maybe someone that hasn't learned through spending their own money and having to develop that gut feel, it's hard to translate that. You know, I've seen guys bring people up into underwriting, train them the way they want them, and have them for 3 or 4, 5, 6 years, and the next thing you know, somebody recruits them out from under them, or they decide to go in business for themselves, or they get sick, or they retire, or whatever, and then the dealer is right back where he was. You know, he's either got to hire somebody that claims that they know how to underwrite, or they've got to start over themselves, having been somewhat removed from the process, and it's never a good experience for them. Scoring was definitely an improvement, and I saw it immediately because I experienced it myself. I experienced the challenges of not having scoring systems, and fortunately we developed them in my public entity, which allowed me to learn all the aspects of building sophisticated scoring technology.
That is incredible, and I'll tell you why. What a dealer needs to be doing is focusing on his marketing, focusing on selling his cars, and having this is obviously going to give them a lot of ability to continue to do that, and that's really important for a dealership. So this is an incredible opportunity for dealerships to really be able to focus on what matters to them the most, which is getting out there and making sales. So if I was a new dealership and I'm going to get into AutoZoom, how do I get involved with your company? How do I use your service?
That's a very good question. The way most dealers get started, they've either heard about us through the grapevine, or they've seen maybe something in publication or an online link, or seen us at conferences. And so we typically schedule a demo. They look at the technology. It looks like it makes sense to them. They sign up with us. And then we schedule a business objectives interview, which I take care of myself on each dealer. And through that interview process, determine which of over 30 different models we built in the last 14 years fits them most closely. And then we get with our programmers and have them develop and tweak that model to be specific to them. So no one dealer is on exactly the same model. And scoring models are not static. They don't remain the same forever. It's an ongoing morphing process. A part of that's with our accumulating data. A part of it's with the individual dealers accumulating data. And anything that we learn over time, we continually add or tweak to their ongoing model.
So it's custom to the dealership, which obviously, especially in the buy here, pay here space, there's a lot of variety over how a dealership decides to really operate their business. And so one of the things that they do have to absolutely take care of is the underwriting process. That's part of what you guys really do. So if I'm a dealer and I already have an underwriting process, can you tell me how AutoZoom would be different from that?
Yes, AutoZoom is different in that 95% plus of dealerships in the United States today, from my own experience, have not learned to apply numeric values to the underwriting criteria, not of the customer and not of the deal structure. And until they do so, whether it's they do it on their own or through a third party like us, until you apply numbers to the process, dealership will never know their winning formula of underwriting. I'll give you an example of that. I have clients or prospective clients contact us periodically and say, look, I've been in business for 35 years. My wife loves me. My accountants love me. My bankers love me. But for the life of me, I do not know, and they love me because I make a lot of money, but I don't know for the life of me what part of my underwriting is working and not working better than the other. Can you help me? So the problem is they have never applied numeric values to the underwriting process. So in the end, they're not able to tie repossession economics and timing to numbers that tie back to the underwriting criteria. So it's impossible to know your winning formula. With AutoZoom, they have moved into an arena where there are numbers, there's algorithms in our system that create numeric values that are clear. And so the dealership not only has values guiding their decision to help them match the right creditworthiness with the right deal structure, but they can use those values to establish benchmarks to say, okay, as long as the customer meets this threshold and they meet this threshold in deal structure and they meet this threshold numerically in total score, then anyone in basic underwriting can do that deal. Otherwise, if it falls below that, they must get upper management involved. What that does, it takes about 80 or greater percentage of the underwriting load of the owner or the upper management of the dealership. Not only that, by applying the numbers to the process, when they put in the repossession economics, it can then tie those economics to the scores that tie back to the underwriting criteria, and then the dealership can know their winning formula. And in knowing their winning formula, they can push the limits of the industry. They can take more risk with higher credit risk customers customers by knowing how to get better shored up in deal structure. And then they can also know how the biggest thing we do for dealerships is we show them how to capture that higher credit quality customer by meeting their expectation in that selling the car, the highest dollar car maybe they have an inventory for the least down payment to the right customer. It's all about matching the right credit worthiness with the right deal structure and knowing your winning formula. And in knowing their winning formula, they can expand their wholesale footprint. In other words, if some dealers operate in a wholesale footprint of car costs including reconditioning of say 2,500 to 5,000. Well, that limits not only the number of people willing to stop on your lot, but the credit quality willing to stop on your lot. If you expand that wholesale footprint, for example, we have some dealerships that have a wholesale footprint for buy here, pay here from 5,000 to 18,000. When you have a wholesale footprint that wide, you've got a $13,000 spread. You attract every kind of customer and a high volume of customer and different higher credit qualities. In learning to expand your footprint, you can do that with a scoring technology.
Wow. That is, in my opinion, so invaluable. There's no way I would have somebody working at my dealership that would take that much time to consider that. And that brings me to a question. How many users do you guys currently have that log into AutoZoom?
Well, we have hundreds of dealers, and each one of those have multiples of users. So we have thousands of users logging in daily.
Wow. So this is a very, very active application, which obviously gives your company a bird's eye view of how to improve this over time, which a dealership, again, would probably not be as focused on.
Yes, absolutely correct, because even if a dealership tried to, on their own, develop a scoring technology in their own backyard, they would only know what they learned at that dealership. And so with this, they get the benefit of all the knowledge of everything that we see. And so as we aggregate the data and become wiser about what we do, being on our subscription, they get the benefit of any tweaks and adjustments that we need to make along the way.
That's great. In the world of perfect vision, I could see why every buy here, pay here dealership would want to work with you guys. But let's talk about the difficult part. It could be kind of scary. Maybe they don't have as much control over the way things work at their dealership, but they still got that gut feeling that they kind of run by. How do you guys help the comfort level with your dealerships when they've got to really kind of get in to let your system do the scoring?
I guess the best answer to that is when I first approached my family about using this technology 13 years ago, they were quite reluctant. In fact, they didn't share with me. They did agree to get on the technology, but they didn't tell me how they were going to use it in the beginning. Well, it turns out that they scored every applicant that made it to the desk that was worthy of a credit application and a credit bureau. They scored it, but they didn't use AutoZoom in the beginning to help them make a decision in any way. All they did was track the data. And what the system was telling them is, look, you're not giving enough credit to the higher credit quality customer. You're not putting them in a high enough dollar car for a lot less down payment. You're running in a down payment mentality environment. And so the system was banging them in the head going, you really consider taking less down payment on those higher credit quality customers. Oh, by the way, you need to shore up in greater down payment or lower car cost on these rougher customers if you can do them on the bottom. And they started paying attention to it. And over time, they finally admitted to me they did that for about 120, 180 days before they even made their managers of their stores aware that they were using that technology. In fact, when they told them, because everything was centralized underwriting, and so they were unaware that they were using it, and when they announced they were going to use it, all of the managers of the stores started panicking and going, oh, it's going to slow sales down, oh, we don't want to do it. So in the beginning, dealerships, a number of them, don't use it to help them even make decisions. They just track the data, and that's how they get comfortable.
Wow. There you go. You had an opportunity early on to actually do a blind test on your software. How many companies even get that opportunity? That's a neat part of learning about what you guys are doing. So we've got an opportunity here to look at something that may be another possibility for a dealership as far as the way they work. They come in, they've got their rhythm, right? A dealership's got the rhythm to how they do their business, and everything kind of fits, especially if they've been doing it for a bit. What if they feel, or at least express to you, that it seems that it might slow them down? Like if I start really focusing on analytics, how is this going to speed me up?
Well, actually, what dealers find is it only takes about 1 minute to score a deal, and that 1 minute of time investment actually actually speeds the process up because now they can see more clearly and more accurately, and everybody sees the same way. Not only are dealers a lot of time concerned about it delaying the underwriting process, but they're also concerned that it might slow sales down. But it's exactly the opposite of that, because when dealerships finally realize through the data and the analytics of repossession and everything that the system does what it's designed to do, it tends to open them up to a wider range of originations. In fact, there's a number of dealers that will put on that are too conservative and they're missing deals, either because they're holding out for too big a down payment or they don't have a wide enough wholesale footprint. So our overall mantra of AutoZoom is, through the numeric valuations and setting the benchmarks, our overall goal is to help the dealers in the end sell more cars and at the same time reduce repo losses.
Scott, you got me sold. I can tell you right now, I've even got a couple of clients, or maybe more than that, that aren't using AutoZoom that I really want to introduce you to sometime this week. Let's have a conversation about the perfect dealer that's already got a situation to where he's very successful, making great money, well-oiled machines. He's got employees that have been with him for years, loved in his community. He's just doing great. What about these guys? Can you help out the dealerships that are already doing really well?
Well, I will tell you that the word you used was perfect, and just like none of us on the face of this planet are perfect people, there is no such thing as a perfect dealership. We've done business and do business with clients that thought they had everything dialed in, and what we find is that dealerships that come to us that believe they have everything figured out, we educate them in such a way that they go, maybe I don't have everything figured out. In fact, I've been in this industry, buy here, pay here, for 5 decades, and I don't have it all figured out. It's just too much to know and too much to learn. But here's what we found is that we can take someone that they have a very conservative repossession rate, they've got everything dialed in the way they believe they want it, they believe that that's the way the industry should run, and through the way we educate them about how do you maximize sales by allowing for your repossession rate to increase, which sounds crazy, but there is a repossession rate that is ideal for the right length of term of contract, and a lot of times dealers don't know, the conservative dealers just don't understand the safety in that. So it's not just about repo rate, it's about timing of repossession. So a dealership could actually experience an 80% repossession rate and make a ton of money as long as the repossessions that did occur within the last couple of months of the contract.
Well, great. Obviously, then this is something that's more of an advance in the industry, of one of those standards that really all of them should be using because the values are just too high. What you guys do for a dealership really couldn't be done in-house by someone who didn't have all of the engineering done that you guys have already put into AutoZoom. Sounds a lot easier to just get involved with you guys and get working with you. So let's go there for a minute. What is my time frame for actually getting benefited if I do join up with you guys? I am excited about it. How long do you think before I see a difference?
That's a question we hear a lot before dealerships commit to sign up even, and the answer is that they're going to benefit immediately. They won't get the full benefit of all the repossession analytics and everything because it takes time for the repossession data to build, as you would expect, but immediately there are charts and graphs and things that help them to determine closing ratios, which is very important in building a balanced portfolio. What strength of credit and stability factors are you putting on the books? And as measured by AutoZoom, you can look at that in 25-point increments, which is something they've never been able to do. They can analyze scoring trends. They can say, okay, well, what is my mix in my portfolio? Not only my closing ratio, but what is my mix by, say, 50-point spread? So we have charts that indicate in 6 different brackets the credit quality and stability of the customer and what are they originating. Not only can they look at that by location separately or by company and then location, they can look at it by salesperson. They can look at it by who's decisioning each deal. They can also have what's called a scoring trend line, and they look at, okay, I don't want to see what buckets are. I want to see what does the trend line look like. Am I going up in credit quality over time that I'm capturing, or am I going down? Am I going up or down in my underwriting, my deal structure? Am I putting on weaker deal structures or stronger deal structures, and are they following? If I have stronger quality customers coming on the books, I can tend to get lower deal structures, and that's fine, but it helps them measure all of that immediately.
That is extremely valuable. So I would say the day they're integrated. Would you not agree with that? Right? The minute they're going in, the day they're integrated with AutoZoom is really the day they start to see some benefits pretty immediately once their data is set up. So setting up their data, What about their DMS? What does it look like on that side? Can you integrate the DMS that's running the dealership?
Well, currently we are in a relationship and working with DealerSocket, who you probably know acquired AutoStar and Finance Express, and they now are coming out with a new web language product called IDMS. They will be integrating that technology, and their target, from what I understand, was to have that available by March of 2017 to all AutoStar and Finance Express people that are converting over to IDMS. Also, we are in discussion in various stages and agreement with a number of others that I don't want to mention at the moment, but we have a possibility. We have an API that's called a RESTful API, and any DMS technology that would like to integrate with us and take the time, we would offer that to them. And it just takes a short interview process with us to make sure that we want to do business.
Sure, makes sense. Well, obviously with that current integration, you guys are going to be able to reach out to quite a few dealerships. That's a real popular company. If I wanted to get started today, let's say I want to call you, I want to deal with your company today, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? What would you suggest for our listeners to do?
You can go to our website, AutoZoom.com, or you can contact us at our toll-free number, 888-493-6891, and follow the prompts.
All righty. Everyone, write that number down. AutoZoom.com is the place to go. Scott, I've really enjoyed our conversation here today, and I look forward to seeing what your company is going to be doing in the future. It's exciting when someone such as yourself, who's got the solid background, that's been an author, that's been an educator, really can come in and build something that has so much value that dealerships can start experiencing that immediately. So thank you for being on our show here at our media center.
Thank you, everyone, for your time and listening to our conversation. And I encourage you to contact us if you want to contact me direct. My office will get you in touch with me as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, and you have a great rest of your day. For those of you that are here in our media center, always remember, we always get together every September in Dallas, Texas, which is kind of cool because that's Scott's backyard, on September 6th, 7th, and 8th. If you're a dealership, you need to come to our show. Scott's going to be there. We're going to have a lot of incredible information for you. Everyone have a great rest of your day.